Utility companies should have county, state, and federal officials participate in pre-storm conference calls. We have conference calls that happen once the storm is hit, but if we know this is coming and we hear that there's a severe weather situation coming, then there should be a pre-storm conference call. Utility companies should revisit the practice of using robocalls to inform customers of their power status. We found that those calls were almost always inaccurate. They were general in nature. They did not accurately reflect what was happening on the ground. And that whole process, we understand that there's technology where you can mass communicate, and it may in fact be that that kind of mass communication is disinformation if it's not accurate information. Both the utility companies and the Public Service Commission should rigorously reevaluate the functioning and reliance of the mutual aid system for power outage restorations. Mutual aid for this type of a situation leans on not having a fully staffed individual response team, and that you'll be able to call on other power companies in some proximity. But when you have regional storms that affect all of these communities, the mutual aid function comes from a distance. It comes from, in our cases, Canada or the Midwest or the South. And that is very different from mutual aid. When you hear the phrase used in fire departments, it's a very different thing. New Rochelle and Mamaroneck and other communities are in immediate proximity. If there is a fire in one of those communities, mutual aid is coming from the next door community in a matter of minutes. This mutual aid comes 500 and 1,000 miles away. And even if you fly in manpower, equipment that's needed, additional crews, trucks have to be driven. And it takes hours, 18 hours oftentimes, to make the 1,000-mile trip from point A to point B.
I think that ConEd and NYSEG, if they're smart, will view this as constructive feedback that they can build upon. You cannot say that the elected officials of Westchester aren't providing them a roadmap for how to improve. They're going to have this opportunity, and maybe one or both of them will avail themselves of that opportunity. Maybe they'll still maintain that all they had were communications problems and there weren't operational problems. If you read this report, yes, there are some sections on communications, and communications was a very important failure in this past March's storms. If you don't feel that it's urgent to get out information as quickly as possible, if you feel that if you just get it out eventually, then you're covering your bases, then you're fundamentally not serving your customer base. And we need to make sure that in every respect that if a company knows that something's wrong in the middle of an emergency situation like this, they have to let the world know. It's not a time to just focus on your public relations.